So good morning. Let us start the lecture. Optical fiber communication DET 3202. The course outcomes. Students will be able to understand different communication media, various blocks and applications of the optical fiber communication system. The students will be able to understand the optics rules and measure the optical fiber cable parameters. Students will be able to identify suitable optical source for a given application. The students will be able to identify suitable detector for a given application. Students will be able to identify suitable connectors and measure the losses in the optical fiber cable. Students will be able to understand architecture of optical network for given application. So these are the objectives. Very fast we will very fast we'll rewind this. We'll again visit these slides because this we have discussed already. Three types of the sources we have seen. Wide band continuous spectra sources are there. Incandescent lamps. Example. Monochromatic incoherent sources are there. Light emitting diode. And monochromatic coherent sources are there. Example, lasers. The requirements are there for the optical sources, how the optical source should be for the optical fabricable uh, communication. Size and configuration to be compatible with launching light and light output is highly directional. It must source must accurately track electrical input signal to minimize the distortion and noise, and this for that the source should be linear. Source should emit light at wavelengths where the fiber has low losses and low dispersion, so that wavelength should be there at which the detectors are efficient. Probably capable of simple signal modulation over a wide bandwidth extending from audio frequency to beyond gigahertz. Must couple sufficient optical output power so that the power will overcome the attenuation in the fiber, connector losses, and receive adequate power at the detector to drive the detector. Source should have narrow spectral bandwidth. Source should have very narrow line width in order to minimize the dispersion and then the losses due to dispersion. Source must be capable of maintaining the stable optical output unaffected by changes in ambient condition, that is temperature. Source is to be comparatively cost effective and highly reliable in order to compete with the conventional transmission technique. The principle of working of optical source. Uh, Photon, we know photon is a discrete packet of energy or it is a quantum of energy, and photon can interact with the matter like semiconductor, which is which is making the source or detector, that is optical devices. Quantum theory suggests that atoms exist only in certain discrete energy state. So absorption and emission of light causes the atom to make a transition from one discrete energy level to another discrete energy. This is the basic which can be shown in these figures. There is absorption of one photon, which is equal to band gap energy, that is E2 minus E1 or EC up minus EV. The atom goes into lower to higher energy state in the final condition. Similarly, if the atom is already in the higher energy state, can go to lower energy state by releasing the photon. And if this is spontaneous or random, it is called spontaneous emission, which is observed in the LED. Similarly, if atom is in the higher energy state, an external photon interacts with that atom, then external photon, which is having the band gap energy equal to band gap energy of the atom, makes the atom to emit one more photon from by making the atom transition from higher energy state to lower energy state. If both the photons are having same energy, that's why same frequency, same wavelength. So This is monochromatic, and both photons are in the same phase, so it is coherent. So monochromatic and coherent is stimulated emission observed in the laser. So we know in absorption the frequency of absorbed or emitted radiation F is related to difference in energy E. So if the photon is absorbed, that photon is of energy band gap. If photon is emitted, that photon is equal to band gap energy. So band gap energy is higher energy state E2 minus lower energy state E1. So this is the equation for that, where Ph is Planck's constant 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. So absorption of photon, if we consider the two energy state or two energy level atomic system, which is initially in the lower energy level, then photon of the energy E2 minus E1 is incident, that is absorbed, and atom goes into higher, lower to higher energy state. That is the absorption of photon. In emission of radiation of in the form of light photon, if we consider again two energy state or two energy level atomic structure where the atom initially is in the higher energy state E2, it makes transition to the lower energy state E1, providing emission of photon at frequency corresponding to E equal to E2 minus E1, that is HF. So this we have discussed many times, many lectures. All these slides we have already discussed many times. So we are going very quick, very fast, just to revise the things. Emission of the light is by two types: spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. Okay, two types are there emission. So if you consider the first type, that is spontaneous emission, in which the atom returns to lower state entirely random manner. Okay, in entirely random manner. So it is a random in nature of the spontaneous emission process, and it emits the light by electronic transition in large number of atoms. It gives the incoherent radiation, and the emission process in semiconductors is a mechanism for light generation within the LED. Then if you consider the stimulated emission, when photon is having energy equal to energy discrete difference between the two states E2 minus E1, and that atom is interacted with, atom is in upper energy state, and that photon which is having the energy equal to E2 minus E1 interacts with the atom which is in the upper energy state, that causing the return of atom to the lower energy state, creation of one second photon. So one photon is there which is equal to having the energy equal to band gap energy, and if that photon interacts with the atom with the already in the higher energy state, then that photon makes the atom to uh, return to lower energy state by emission of one more photon. So this photon and this photon both are with the same energy value and with the same phase. So this is monochromatic as well as coherent. So it emits the photon generally an identical energy. It is having the light of stimulating and stimulated photon in phase with the same polarization. Hence, it is coherent radiation, and as it is coherent, it adds the incident wave and the liberated wave in the constructive manner, providing the amplification. Hence, it gives the amplification, giving the laser an optical source. Laser is the light amplification by stimulated radiation of emission, simulated emission of radiation. So p-n junction is impurities and charge carrier as well as energy bands are shown. As we know, here the electron is filled circle, holes are empty circle, acceptors are minus sign circles, and donors are plus sign circles. And we know N and P are the extrinsic semiconductors, and N is a large number of donor ions because of large number of electrons donated by these ions. So large number of electrons present. Some Holes are also present in the N type as a minority charge carrier. Same is the case with P type. Large number of acceptor ions are there. They accept the electron. That's why they are acceptor ions. Large number of holes are there. That is absence of electron. So holes are majority charge carriers. Some small number of electrons are also present in the P type. Those are called minority charge carriers. Whenever junction formation process is there, that junction formation process exchanges the charge particles and the electron hole recombination takes place, and the atoms in the region near the junction, they have neutralized by exchanging the charge particles. Okay, and these ions now have stabilized, neutralized, and this stabilization is due to the completion of the octet, and this makes this region electrically insulated by further avoiding the transfer of charge particle from N region to P and P region to N. And this stops the recombination of the charge particles, and hence this region is making the sandwich of non-conducting region in between two conducting regions. This is called depletion layer. Okay. So if you consider the energy band diagram, the energy band will be condition will be like this as shown. The conduction energy of both the sides N and P side are at different level, and this difference in conduction energy is called potential barrier. So electron, if from N side has to go to P side, then electron has to increase its potential by potential barrier amount. Okay, whatever the barrier it has to overcome. Same is case with the hole. That's why electron holes are not going on the other direction. This is the energy band diagram where the on x-axis the distance is shown, and on y-axis the energy is shown. The spontaneous emission powered by PN junction, uh, which is shown whenever the PN junction is forward bias, that is N is connected negative of battery and P is connected positive of battery, it becomes forward bias, and in that case the depletion region energy band diagram of P region, N region and depletion region modifies, and this potential barrier becomes less or maybe becoming uh, that may be vanished or may be becoming zero by junction breakdown. Okay. In the forward bias junction breakover. So the external battery also provides the energy to overcome the potential barrier to the charge particles. Hence the charge particles can cross the barrier, cross the potential depletion region and goes into other side. So electron from N region, in large number electron goes into P region, large number of holes from P region goes into N region, and these electrons and holes in P region as well as in holes and electrons in N region have the random recombination by emitting the photons. But these photons are having same wavelength, same energy, same frequency. So this is monochromatic, but it is random, so it is non-coherent, incoherent. So this is called spontaneous emission. And again, spontaneous emission have two types: radiative and non-radiative. Whenever there is a radiation of photon, it is radiative. Whenever there is non-photon energy is radiated, that is mechanical energy or thermal energy, it is non-radiative. Out of some 100, if you consider 95 radiative, and then 5% will be, or out of 100, 5 will be energy bundles will be not non-photon. Then efficiency of radiation will be 95%. So non-radiative recombination energy is released and dissipated in form of lattice vibration and get converted to heat, and radiative recombination the energy released in the light form with energy of photon equal to Eg is equal to Hf is equal to Hc upon lambda, where H is the Planck's constant, 10 to 6.626 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. C is the velocity of light in a vacuum, 2.998 10 raised to 8 meters per second. Lambda is the optical wavelength, and uh, F is the frequency. Okay. So if we substitute these values into the formula and we rearrange the equation, we'll get the equation lambda equal to 1.24 divided by Eg, where we have to consider lambda in micrometer and Eg band gap energy in electron volt. So this is the simplified formula. Spontaneous emission in PN junction, when PN junction is connected positive to the P side and negative of battery to the N side, with this ohmic contact and the metallization, then the large number of electrons from N side goes into P side, large number of holes from P side goes into N side, and the electron hole recombination takes place in both the sides randomly, spontaneously, and they emit the photon in any direction. So no direction, no polarization, no phase mm, uh, phasor relation is there in between the different photons. That's why the photons are incoherent, but all the photons are same energy. That's why they are monochromatic. So population inversion is the uh, phenomena which is required in laser, which are very well discussed, very detailed discussed in the previous lectures. We will very fast recap this. So as the Boltzmann curve is there, Boltzmann distribution is there, as shown by this curve. So every atom or atom structure is having the density of atom n as shown on the x-axis, and the energy E as shown on y-axis. The relation is controlled by this Boltzmann distribution with thermal equilibrium. So suppose if E1 is the lower energy state or E2 is the higher conduction and valence state, then those number of atoms or density of atoms are N2 and N1 as shown. This is in the thermal equilibrium. This shows that very less number of atom are uh, in the higher energy state. So and this is under thermal equilibrium. But for optical amplification, non-equilibrium distribution is required with population of the atoms higher in the upper energy state than or more in the upper energy state than the lower energy state. N2 must be higher than N1. This is known as population inversion. Here N1 is less than N2. This is not population inversion, and this is the thermal equilibrium condition. And if the N2 is made higher than N1, this is population inversion, and this is breaking of that equilibrium, thermal equilibrium. So this is required, population inversion is required for laser action or for large amount of photon emission, and then that will support the amplification in the laser. Okay. So that is the requirement. Population inversion is the requirement in the laser action. Okay. So this population inversion, if you consider, then the uh, condition is just opposite. So E2 is having higher energy level atoms larger in density, and E1, which is lower energy state, having the atoms in this state lesser in the this energy state. So here N2 is larger than N1. So this is called population inversion, where this again Boltzmann distribution term. So in this case, inverted case, the upper energy state E2 non-equilibrium distribution is obtained, where population inversion is done using external source. So this condition is obtained by using external source, in which the process of population inversion is called pumping. The energy is pumped into the crystal structure. Energy is supplied externally uh, from the energy source to the crystal structure, so that crystal structure large number of atoms goes into higher energy state by absorbing that external energy source energy. That external energy source or pumping may be done from various external energies. by like radiation of optical flash or optical flash tube or high frequency radio which is radiated. So these are possible. With the help of these, pumping is possible. But in semiconductors, we have population inversion with the applied bias. In semiconductor, bias is applied and bias voltage will make the population inverse. As soon as we connect the power supply to the laser, there is a population inversion in the crystal. Population inversion means a large number of atoms goes into conduction state so that they will transit from higher energy state to lower energy state by emitting the photon. So this is the case in laser. So this is a laser structure. Here the amplifying medium is shown. Amplifying medium is nothing but semiconductor crystal. On one side of the semiconductor crystal, a perfect mirror is obtained or connected, facet is connected or placed, and on other side the other major facet which is semi-transparent or semi-reflecting is placed. As it is semi-transparent, optical energy or photons can get emitted through this, and some of the photons get reflected back to this. So it is reflecting as well as emitting. Some portion it reflects back, some portion it emits. And these mirrors can be obtained by highly polishing the same crystal structure. So this is semiconductor crystal, and other edges are roughly polished so that they will not lose the photons in that direction. So all the photons reciprocate or oscillate in this direction, in the direction of length L. So in the same direction, uh, all the photons are oscillating. So this becomes, due to that, this becomes the cavity. Okay, oscillating cavity, which is same as the oscillating cavity in case of the microwave cavities. Okay, electromagnetic microwave cavities. So these are also, photons are also electromagnetic waves. So photon collides with the atom, excites the energy state. Some photon collide the atom, excite the energy state, and that stimulate the emission of the second photon. First photon, second photon, these photons are in phase. They collide further to more atoms, and then they also emit the energy in the form of photon. So again, these stimulating photon and stimulated photon all are in the coherence, and they all again collide with the those many number of atomic structures, and those many second photons are generated, and this process continues, which is creating the avalanche multiplication. Very large amount of photons are created with this multiplication. So two photon, one photon creates two, creates four, four creates eight, eight creates 16, 16 creates 32, 32 creates 64, 64 creates 128, and so on. So these electromagnetic waves of photon are in phase. So all the photons are in coherence, and it will create amplified coherent emission. So for laser action, photon must be within laser medium. For this action, the photon must be within this amplifying medium, and this is uh, m- made possible by mirrors. They keep the photon within the amplifying medium. The photon must maintain the condition for coherence. So it is maintained by photons condition of coherence. For this, the plane or curved mirrors are placed, or they are formed there in the crystal structure. Mirrors are at either end of the amplifying medium. So both the ends are having the mirrors. So this is about the Fabry-Perret cavity. So optical cavity formed in the more analogous to the oscillator than amplifier. So there is oscillation of the charged particle, so it is more analogous to oscillator. It provides positive feedback of the photon by reflecting reflection of mirrors on either side of the activity. So optical signal is fed back many times while receiving amplification, as it passes through medium. So this structure is Fabry-Perot resonator. So continuously oscillation is taken place for the photons. So these photons, while passing from one end to other end, there is a many times the amplification. Okay. One photon makes two, two makes four, four makes eight, and so on. So amplification of the signal is small with the single pass. So once the photon travels from one end to other end, it is very small amplification. But if the photon is traveling again and again, mirror to other mirror to one, then multiple passes offers net gain as a large net gain. So one mirror is partially transmitting, other mirror is fully, completely reflecting. So radiation escape from this partially transmitting mirror, and that becomes light output of the laser diode, okay, or device. The stable output is obtained when the stable is obtained when it is saturation. At saturation, when optical gain is matches with the losses incurred in the amplifying medium. So when gain matches with the losses, then the stable output is obtained. What are the losses? The major losses are absorption in the material, amplifying material, scattering in the amplifying material, and absorption and scattering and diffraction of the mirrors, and non-useful transmission through the mirror. So these are the losses. Then the structure offers a particular gain curve. So within this curve only, the frequency on x-axis is supported for amplification. Outside this curve, though there are theoretically possible frequencies, those are not supported by this structure. So the structure do not produce those photons or those frequencies or those wavelengths which are outside this gain curve. Only the gain curve envelope generates the frequency. So theoretically, all the frequencies are possible. So this is amplification, relative amplification, and frequency. So oscillation occurs in the laser cavity over a small range of the frequency where cavity gain is sufficient to overcome the losses. So very small range of the frequency is there where the losses and gains are matched, and there the sustained oscillation stable output is possible. Other all frequencies, this is not happening, and that's why they die out. Hence the device is not monochromatic actually, it is emitting narrow spectral bandwidth. So these are some frequencies. So this is a narrow spectral bandwidth, isn't it? So few 10, 20 or 100 frequencies are emitted. So this is very narrow spectral band. Central frequency of spectral band is a mean of energy level difference in stimulating emission transmission. So we have seen this discussed in previous lectures. So we are very quickly going through. The other frequency in spectral band is by frequency variation due to the thermal motion in the atom amplifying medium. The medium allows amplification under the gain curve only and gives the finite spectral width. With sufficient population inversion in amplifying medium, radiation builds up and establish a standing wave between the mirrors. So these standing waves are developed in the mirrors, and standing wave exists only at the frequency which is integral multiple between the of the distance between the mirror. Okay, whatever the integral multiple of the distance between mirror L is there, those only standing waves or standing half waves are built, and those build a standing half wave in the as a standing wave. Only those discrete frequencies are possible with the structure. So it depends on L. Only these frequencies are possible. So in between these frequency, it is not possible because of the dimension L of the structure. So oscillation path dimension L decides the discrete frequencies, those can be obtained from that structure. Again, this infinite number of discrete frequencies are there, and from that only gain curve which supports the frequencies, those frequencies will be given as the output. Other frequencies of these discrete type are dying down. They are not supported, they are not amplified. So they do not be present in the output. So only limited line width is supported by this gain curve. Okay. So when the optical source between mirrors L resonate or resonance condition takes place, then the in the cavity that is given by L equal to lambda q upon 2L. So this is the equation where lambda is the emission wavelength, N is the refractive index of the amplifying medium, and Q is any integer. Or Q is 1 for some frequency, 2 for other frequency, 3 for other frequency, or maybe Q minus 4, Q minus 3, Q minus 2, Q minus 1, Q plus 1, Q plus 2, and so on. If you consider any two consecutive frequencies, the difference between them can be found out, and the frequency also can be uh, found out by this equation. F is equal to QC upon 2NL is the frequency equation. The difference of the frequency in the oscillator cavity is determined by various integer values of the Q. You can take one's Q minus 1, other next will be Q, and you can subtract that, and you can find out the delta F. We have derived also this last time, and then that delta F goes as written here, delta F C upon NL, and that is given by this formula C upon NL. So this is called modes. Modes are separated by frequency interval delta F. So modes are separated by delta F. So mode separation in terms of free space wavelength is there also there. If you consider delta F very less than F, we can write F by Ca equation can be used to write delta lambda is equal to lambda delta F upon F. You can substitute delta lambda upon lambda is equal to delta F upon F. You can substitute, and this equation, if you are substituted for the F, we can get lambda square delta F by C. And again delta F is substituted C upon 2NL, which is here delta F. Then delta F C upon 2NL is substituted. We will get delta lambda as lambda square upon 2NL. So delta F is 2 C upon 2NL, and delta lambda as lambda square upon 2NL. Delta F is in terms of C and NL. Delta lambda is also in terms of lambda and NL. So in delta F equation, no lambda is there. In delta lambda equation, no F is there. So that rearrangement we can make very easily. So to have the directive light, to have the monochromatic light, to have the coherent light, and to have the large number of gain, and to have the pencil beam like directive beam, the active region is made very thin, and the active region is region which is nothing but the region in which the electron hole recombination is allowed, is taking place. And that active region can be generated, can be fabricated, manufactured with the help of the heterojunctions. Heterojunctions. If there is one heterojunction, it is a heterojunction. If there are two heterojunction, it is double heterojunction. So double heterojunction in which PP, one junction is there, PN, other junction is there, it is double heterojunction. And that P, second P and N are having different band gap energies altogether. So this EG is different, this EG is different, this EG is different, band gap energy. The central sandwiched P region is having minimum most band gap energy, and the other end side P and other side N, they are having very high band gap energy. They are adjusted like that so that the holes and electrons can very easily goes into the active region, which is central P, sandwich the P region. So this region, active region, can give the electron holes pairs in that. So this is possible with the help of double heterojunction structure. Okay, this we have discussed again in detail. So this is a energy band diagram. Also, for this particular P region, mirrors are provided, optical confinement is provided, as well as electrical confinement is also provided. Optical confinement is provided by making this P region refractive index higher. So this is the graph of refractive index. And one side N region and other side P region refractive index indices are made lesser than the central P region. So that makes the optical fiber-like condition, and P region only contains the photons, and those photons generated are not allowed to go into other side regions, and that makes optical fiber condition. So there are mirrors on both the sides of the active region, and there is the optical confinement on both sides, other both sides of the optical region, so active region. So this makes all the photons confined into the active region, and one side mirror is partially transmitting, so optical output is possible through this. So this is optical output, so partial emitting. At the same time, there is a large electric field generated only in this region, and other regions electric field is not generated. So all the charge particles concentrated get concentrated into this, and these charge particles are concentrated in this because the all the atoms which goes from lower energy state to higher energy state by population inversion or pumping is possible with the help of electric field only. So this electric field makes the pumping, and pumping is made in only in active region and not in other two regions. So charge particles, high energy level atoms are only obtained in active region. So this makes active region population inverted. So laser activity takes place only in the active region. And as active region is very thin in microns, so whatever the beam is obtained is directive pencil like beam. Okay. So this is about the heterojunctions. Heterojunction is the interface between two adjoining single crystal semiconductors with different band gap energies. Okay. So this we have till this we have discussed in the previous lectures. Okay. So heterojunctions are classified as into either isotype or NN or anisotype PN. If different intrinsic materials are there, it is called anisotype. If same material is making junction, it is called isotype. So one N is there, other N is there, but their band gap energies are different. That makes junction. One P is there, other P is there, but their band gap energy are differing. That make a junction. Okay. This type of the junctions is called isotype junction. And if one P is there, one N is there, even though they are different intrinsic material, they are making junction. They are having the band gap energy is also different. Then that is called anisotype junction. Okay, so two types of heterojunctions are there: isotype and anisotype. NNPP isotype, PN is anisotype. So it provides the potential barrier useful for the confinement of minority carriers into small active region, and that is called carrier confinement. Okay. So that is called carrier confinement. So effectively that reduces the carrier diffusion length and the volume where the radiative recombination is there. Effectively it reduces the diffusion length and diffusion volume, so that carrier have to uh, not have to travel long diffusion length. The active region is made lesser so that carrier is having the uh, small region, concentrated charged particles and concentrated high energy atoms. So it will make the probability that the external photon interact the high energy atoms, and that atom transit from high energy to low energy by emitting one more photon, and hence the emitted photon and the interacting photon are in phase in same direction, and amplification takes place. So this is used in LEDs to provide the transparent layer close to the active region, which is substantially reducing the absorption of light emitted. In LED also heterojunctions are created. In laser heterojunctions are needed, but in LED also heterojunctions are created to make the LED output uh, efficient and with high value, high amount. It provides the radiation confinement. Radiation confinement is also provided so that whatever the output photons are there, they do not go into the outside the active region, into other region. And the walls of optical waveguide is created. So optical waveguide walls means core and cladding structure is created. So resulting carrier and optical confinement, both the confinements, carrier and optical confinement, reduce the threshold current, reduce the threshold current necessary for lasing action. Now this lasing has become the verb. Laser is the actually short form acronym of light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So now whenever we are using this laser term many times, now it has become action, it has become verb. So lasing action, laser action is called lasing action. So lasing is taken place at very less threshold current. Due to the carrier and optical confinement, the threshold current required for lasing is by reduced is by factor 100. So if the confinement is not kept, then threshold current required would be 100 times larger. But if the confinement of carrier, confinement optical is applied, is provided in the crystal structure, then the threshold current to start the laser action, is reduced by 100% factor. No? 100 times less current is required. So there is a threshold current, minimum driving current that starts the laser action. That minimum driving current to how the population inversion becomes less. Once the population inversion is achieved, laser action takes place. Thus, the stimulated emission obtained with the smaller threshold currents. For example, it is of the order of 50 to 200 milliampere. 50 to 200. So if you take it 100 times, 50 will go 5000, that is 5 ampere. So if the 5 ampere current is there, the device will become so high power consuming device. 5 ampere devices are not there in electronics except power electronics, isn't it? Power electronics is a part of electrical and electronics. So it reduces large amount of the threshold current, making the device low power device, and the losses also reduced. This technique is widely used in the fabrication of the injection lasers and high radiance LEDs also. This heterojunction technique is used in the fabrication of injection lasers, all the lasers, and high radiance LEDs, LEDs which are having high radiance. For that also heterojunction is used. Okay. So semiconductor injection laser and diode. Semiconductor injection laser or injection laser diode. ILD, injection laser diode. LED, light emitting diode. ILD is injection laser diode. Or only it is called injection laser. Semiconductor injection laser or injection laser diode or injection laser. Okay. Semiconductor injection laser, why it is called? Because lasers are of gas type lasers, lasers are ruby crystal type lasers are available. But semiconductor lasers are there, so it is specifically mentioned the laser source is semiconductor laser. Or it is called injection laser because the current injection takes place, and that is ILD. According to name is ILD. and only injection laser can be called, or only laser also can be called. So these are the names. So injection laser major advantages over the semiconductor sources are there. Other sources are the LEDs. Okay. Two types of the sources are used in the communication. One is laser, other is LEDs. So laser are having some advantages over LEDs. What are those? First is high radiance is there due to the amplifying effect. LED is not having amplifying effect. So laser is having high radiance due to amplifying effect of stimulated emission. Injection lasers generally supply milliwatt of optical output power. Few milliwatts optical output power is possible with the laser. Laser is having very narrow line width. Okay? Laser is having very narrow line width of the order of 1 nanometer or 10 angstrom. 1 nanometer is 10 angstrom. 10 raised to minus 10 centimeter, isn't it? Angstrom. Or less, which is useful in minimizing effect of material dispersion. Okay. So material dispersion effect is reduced by having the very less spectral bandwidth or line width. Line width is less, material dispersion is less. So laser is having very less material dispersion. Where the material dispersion takes place? Material dispersion takes place while photons are traveling in the optical fiber from transmitter to receiver. What is dispersion? Dispersion is broadening of the pulse, and that reduces the uh, speed of the link. Beats per second is reduced. The modulation capabilities which extend from up to gigahertz range is possible and also improved upon with the help of laser. So very wide modulation capabilities are there in the laser. Relative temporal coherence, that is time related coherence, which is essential to allow the coherent detection in the high capacity systems, at present primarily used in the single mode systems. Presently, coherent detection is in high capacity systems is used in the single mode system, but it is having relative temporal coherence. So these lasers are having relatively higher temporal coherence as compared to LEDs. Temporals means time based coherence, time in phase photons. As the LED is a random process, it is spontaneous emission, no temporal coherence at all is observed in the LED. At any time, the spontaneous emission of the any photon at any region can take place. Also, good spatial coherence is observed due to the active region. If you make the active region laser, then space, that is spatial coherence, is also observed in the good form, which allows the output to focus by the lens on the fiber uh, for the launching of the light with a greater intensity, then disperse the unfocused emission. So this spatial coherence active region is made very thin. That's why few micrometer pencil beam like optical beam is formed, and that makes very focused beam. And again, that beam can be uh, processed or passed through lenses. Micro lenses are there. Those lenses are having dimensions in again micrometer in the couplers, so that that beam can be very efficiently coupled into the optical fiber. So this is the advantage of the laser, which is not possible in the LED. And the spatial coherent again permits the efficient coupling of optical output power into fiber even with low numerical aperture. So fibers having less numerical aperture also can be very efficiently coupled with the uh, laser sources, and it is not possible with the light emitting diode LED sources. Okay, So with the LED sources, it becomes difficult to couple the optical power into the optical fiber. Whereas it is very easier and efficient to couple the optical power from laser. And again, the spatial coherence and directivity are observed in the laser. So these are the advantages. The high radiance is due to the amplifying effect. Amplifying effect is there, so radiance is very high. Then generally it provides in milliwatts optical power. Laser is having narrow line width on the order of 1 nanometer or so, 10 angstroms. So it is less, which is very useful in minimizing the effect of material dispersion. Line width is less, dispersion is less. Dispersion is less means uh, attenuation due to dispersion is less, and bandwidth is more because dispersion limits the bandwidth. Modulation capabilities are also very high, may extend up to gigahertz, and relative temporal coherence is observed, and this is essentially allowing the coherent detection in high capacity systems, which is used presently in the single mode systems. So temporal coherence allows the coherent detection. Then good spatial coherence is observed. Spatial, just like temporal coherence, good spatial coherence is also observed because the active region is very thin, and which allows the output focused by the lens on coupling the fiber very efficiently. Last one is spatial coherence permits efficient coupling of the optical fiber power into fiber even with low numerical aperture. If even though the optical fiber is with the low numerical aperture, the spatial coherence permits efficient coupling. Coupling efficiency is high, even though the numerical aperture of the fiber is less. So this is the constructional details of broad area GAS, ALGS, double heterojunction injection laser. Okay. So material used is gallium arsenide and aluminum gallium arsenide. Again, if you observe here, for making different layers, different alloy combination is used. One layer is made of gallium arsenide, another layer is made of AlGaS, aluminum gallium arsenide, another layer is also made of aluminum gallium arsenide. Again, it is made of GaS. Again, one GaS and other GaS, Ga and As, they are having different proportion, so their band gap energy is different. One AlGaS and other AlGaS, their aluminum gallium arsenide proportion is different. So again, their band gap energies are different. And this heterojunction structure, double heterojunction structure, makes the junctions and the areas, regions with all different band gap energies, making an active region with minimum band gap energy sandwiched in between two other regions which are having higher band gap energy, so that charged particles can easily get collected into the active region, or they are allowed into the active region, and then active region is providing the high probability for recombination of the electron hole pairs and emission of the photons, or the active region is also provided with the high electric intensity than other regions and making the pumping, that is availability of high energy state atoms and availability of free electrons due to that for recombination. High energy state atom means atom is going into conduction state. Conduction state atom means there is a free electron from that atom. Electron is in the conduction state. Conduction state electron is free electron, which is readily interact with the, which is readily transit from higher energy state to lower energy state after interacting the external photon, and it emits the energy equal to photon energy. So all this is possible by making this type of the structure. So this structure is having um, GAS, ALGAS, double heterojunction. So GAS and ALGAS double heterojunction injection laser. So this is contact metallization. This upper layer is of metallization. This is metal. Then uh, this side also there is a contact metallization, and positive and negative are connected to the P side and N side. And in between this metallization, there are five different layers. Five layers. One is N plus GAS, another is NALGAS, then very thin, this one is P type of GAS, which is active layer, isn't it? This is active layer, and then above that the PALGAS, then again P plus GAS, okay? So this is P plus GAS. Now here the uh, see here the N plus and N are there. GAL is there, ALGA is there. That means the constituent of the semiconductor material is changed. GAS is there, N type, GAS is there, P type. Their proportion is also changed to make the band gap energy of different value. Their impurities are also changed to make their either N type or P type. Their impurity concentration also is changed by making P plus and P, N plus and N. N plus and N, what is difference? N is the less uh, impurity concentration material. N plus is dense impurity concentration material. That makes very large N plus these electrons, charge particles. N plus is having the charge particle density higher than N material. Okay. What is the difference between N and N plus? So N will have less charge particle density, electron density, and N plus will have more charge particle or electron density. Same is with the P and P plus. P is having whatever amount of the whole density. P plus will have dense whole plus whole density. Okay. So all these combinations are used in the making of the laser diode structure. Okay. So N plus GAS is there, N ALGAS is there, PALGAS and P plus GAS. And there is a light output shown from active region on two sides, and other two sides are roughened, not polished properly, so there is no light output. So light output is possible in this direction as well as this direction. Again, the mirror are placed on one side, perfectly uh, reflecting mirror, on other side partially reflected and partially transmitting mirror. This light output can be made in single direction also. So as we know, double heterojunction active region is having minimum uh, band gap energy. So charge particles get accumulated into that, and the laser action is possible by with the help of charge particle concentration, with the help of pumping the higher energy level atom concentration, and with the help of making the photons only travel in the active region with the help of optical confinement, and making the electrical confinement for charges as well as for making the higher energy state atoms, electrical confinement. All these uh, provisions make the device very highly directive, coherent, and high amplifying photon device, photon emitting device. So these PALGS and NALGS, they are used as confinement layers. So here it is written confinement layers. That means their refractive index is made lesser. Refractive index of this and this layer is made lesser than active region. Active region is having some refractive index. Immediately near to the active region, the refractive indices are made very less. So that makes the optical fiber construction. Okay. And other two regions are there, which are P plus N plus, which provides the large density holes and electron regions for better conductivity. So mirrors are there on this side as well as this side. So this is the construction of the broad area GAS ALGAS double heterojunction injection laser. So this is the construction of oxide strip ALGAS double heterojunction injection laser. If you observe in previous diagram, there is a optical output from this active region in total width. Everywhere optical output is possible, isn't it? So optical output is possible in total width. Okay? So this is the width of the device. Same is there in the other side. So in active region, throughout the width, the photon emission takes place. This is the basic figure. So what is the modification made in the construction? In the construction, the strip geometry is used. Oxide strip is used. It is called strip geometry. So one oxide strip is created. Okay, very small channelized strip is created. So this is called oxide strip. So this first layer is the metallization, which is dark shown. Second, below that, dashed is there, hatched is there, that is silicon dioxide insulating layer. So first layer, which is metallization, is the conducting layer. So this is contact metallization. Okay, this is conducting layer. This is the conducting material. Most probably the highly conductive material is sputtered like gold alloy. Gold alloy is sputtered for making the metal contact metallization. Sputtering is the process which makes the conductive molecules to make the mechanical bonding with the semiconductor. Okay, that is called sputtering. Okay, so contact metallization is there. That is the metal on the first layer, and this metal makes the electrical contact. Second dashed layer is shown, that is semiconductor, silicon dioxide, semiconductor oxide, which is insulation layer. Silicon dioxide is nothing but silica, which is insulation layer, SiO2. So this insulation layer is under the metal layer. So whatever the metal is biased with the bias external voltage, that voltage is not connected, get connected to this layer in this area, but very small strip is there where the silicon dioxide is not present. All other area the silicon dioxide is present. Okay. So this total width is divided into three areas where the silicon dioxide is present, where the silicon dioxide is not present, again the silicon dioxide is present. So these areas, very thin strip is created where this metal can directly is connected with, electrically connected with semiconductor under it, semiconductor layer. So below that, first semiconductor layer is there, second semiconductor layer is there, third semiconductor layer, which is active layer, is there, fourth semiconductor layer is there, and fifth semiconductor layer is there. Before below that, again contact metallization there, no channelization is there, but all over the contact metallization is there. So this contact metallization metal and this metal, here the external power supply is connected. On P side, positive is connected, on N side, negative is connected. Okay. Now, whenever the power supply is connected, this metallization starts conducting, but As there is a silicon dioxide under it, these do not allow to conduction. The conduction is allowed only in this region, small region. And this small channelization of charged particles makes only small thin active region to have the pumping effect. Okay. Out of the total width of the thin active region, that means active region is thin in this direction. Okay, in this direction, active region is thin. Okay. Similarly, in this direction also, active region is made thin by making the contact metallization provision. So, overall the active region volume now become further pencil-like beam producing region. So, due to this availability of all over width of the active region photon emission that spreads the beam in horizontal or one direction. In other direction, it is making pencil like beam, but in one more direction, perpendicular direction, it is having still the spread of the beam. That spread is limited by this strip geometry, ALGS double active junction, in which the electric current is provided to very small thin area. On one axis, on other axis there is a thin active region. Both the effects make very thin active region with width as well as breadth. Very thin in width, very thin in breadth. So that makes a very pencil-like active region itself, and that emits through it very pencil-like optical beam. So whatever the optical beam emitted is there, which shows the horizontal angle of spread as well as vertical angle of spread. Okay, here it is 9 degree horizontally and 45 degree vertically. Still there is a optical beam spreading is there horizontally also and vertically. Horizontally it spreads slowly, 9 degree spread is there, whereas vertically it spreads 45 degree. But it is very controlled beam because the laser diode is kept very close to the fiber, so this spread will not be affected on the coupling efficiency. So this is the construction of optical fiber laser with oxide strip geometry. Again there is these different materials are there, P plus GaAs, N plus GaAs. This is for making the good conductivity contacts with the metallization. Then active region is there, which is made up of PAlGaAs, active region, and this PAlGaAs is having AlX, Ga1 minus Y, Al, and As. Okay? So Al and Ga proportion are controlled to make the active region its properties of band gap energy, its property of the refractive indices, etc. control. So active region refractive index is higher, and neighboring two layers, that is NALGAS, PALGAS, their refractive index are made less, lower than the active region to make optical confinement. So here it is optical confinement, here it is electrical confinement, here is it is charge carrier confinement. So all the confinements make the laser diode in oxide strip geometry highly directive, highly coherent, and output in the pencil-like beam only in single direction. So that increases the coupling efficiency of the light in the optical fiber to very high level. So this is the construction of oxide strip ALGS double electrojunction laser. Hope I am audible till now. Yes, thank you, Suddesh. I am audible. So I think we will meet tomorrow. Now we are stopping. Yesterday's lecture, I am stopping the recording.